Hello everyone, this is Chang at the Pacific Asia Travel Association, the Department of Sustainability and Social Responsibility. Investing for impact puts financial capital behind businesses that generate social and environmental benefits. Clean technology provides innovative solutions to some of the world's most pressing problems. Put the two together for tourism, and we should have a perfect solution for the future of travel. This is now more urgent than ever as the COVID-19 crisis has caused severe disruptions to our global financial system. This is also a reminder of the need to strengthen the preparedness and resilience of travel companies as they struggle with business recovery while trying to maintain balanced socioeconomic and environmental outcomes. So, why are financial institutions seeking impact investments during the COVID-19 era? What is needed to integrate clean technology in tourism investment decision making? How do we channel tourism investment and financing into a sustainable future? Today, Pada spoke to Jason Lust, the Partnership and Communication Manager for ADB Ventures that supports startup technologies and contributes to the Sustainable Development Goals. He is also the director of Clickable Vietnam, a consulting firm specializing in regional development with a focus on communications and innovation. Hello, Jason. Thank you so much for your time today. We're really excited to have you with Pada in this interview series with different industry leaders. To get us started, would you mind introducing a bit about yourself and maybe your area of focus and expertise so that our audience can know a bit about you?
My pleasure, Chung, and thanks for inviting me to talk with you. So my name is Jason Lusk. I'm the Partnerships and Communications Manager for ADB Ventures. ADB Ventures is the new venture investment facility of the Asian Development Bank. Asian Development Bank, or ADB, of course, is a multilateral finance institution based out of Manila that historically has been best known for financing infrastructure investments across the region. Venture investing is a new activity, and ADB Ventures is something, in fact, that was just authorized by the ADB board at the end of January. We announced first close of our fundraising in April, so as I'm talking with you now in July, we've really only been up and running for a short time. But the purpose of ADB Ventures is to invest in technologies from startups, from early stage companies that have potential to scale up for impact against the Sustainable Development Goals, and particularly for impact on climate across Asia and the Pacific. My role within the ADB Ventures program is to run a series of what we call labs. These are programs that are building markets for those impact technologies across the region by working with startups, by working with end users of technologies, large corporates, municipal utilities, big organizations like that, to find where there are real commercial opportunities to scale up tech. Under that labs platform, I've been working with PATA on a program called Travel Lab Asia. Travel Lab Asia is exactly as I just described, a program that matches impact technology startups with the needs of large travel industry corporates across the region, specifically the needs of large hotels and resorts. So we have been working with Hilton Hotels, Jetwing Hotels, and Minor International, and primarily helping them identify clean technologies that they can implement for better waste management and better energy management across their properties.
Thank you very much for sharing with us the different innovative and impactful work you guys have been doing with ADB Ventures. So we all know that the COVID-19 crisis has actually disrupted our global financial system. So with this going on, why should impact investing remain the key focus for investors during the time of COVID-19? And also, is clean technology still a good investment for impact?
Well, I'll answer the second question first. Obviously, the COVID-19 crisis has been a setback, and it's not that impact investment funds have dried up, but startup companies have delayed their fundraising and are seeing lower valuations during the crisis. So certainly the impact investing industry has gone into a little bit of a pause, but that's not for lack of a market for impact investing. The fundamentals remain there. There is a desire by industry to invest in clean technologies and other impact technologies as a way of reducing costs, accessing new customer segments. There are all kinds of reasons, commercial reasons why companies are looking to invest in impact. And the investor class knows this, and the impact investing industry has only been growing globally over the past decade, is growing quite rapidly in Asia and the Pacific. So I think what you're going to see following the long arc of history, impact investing will go into a bit of a pause, maybe in 2020, continuing into 2021, but will come back robustly in the medium to long term. I also think it's important that we not look at impact investing narrowly as investing in clean tech. Impact investing includes any investments that contribute towards the UN Sustainable Development Goals. That would include health technologies and health outcomes. So in the time of a pandemic, that exposes the need for better healthcare. And that's especially true for rural and remote areas where access to even basic healthcare services can be quite limited. So there are opportunities to invest in technologies that reduce the cost of basic healthcare and also make more advanced specialist services available to rural and remote populations via telemedicine and other technologies. Another thing that we've seen during the COVID crisis is the need for better healthcare supply chains and distributed healthcare that can respond to disease outbreaks, many of which are climate related. COVID-19 doesn't have its roots in the climate crisis and climate change, but Zika would be an example, and there are other mosquito-borne or insect-borne diseases that do have roots in climate change. So the frequency or the need to respond to epidemics and pandemics is not going to decrease as climate change continues to affect Asia Pacific world. There's going to be an ongoing need to make sure that healthcare supply chains are resilient and able to meet the needs of the healthcare system during times like this, and technology has a role to play there. Evidence suggests that environmental factors are making pandemics worse, and when the dust settles, I think there will be a need for non-healthcare technologies, or a greater need for non-healthcare impact technologies will have been made clearer by COVID-19. It is indeed likely that governments in the wake of COVID-19 are going to recommit themselves to climate action, recognizing more strongly than ever before that the state of the environment has an impact on human health, which means that I expect governments to increase the incentives for industry to buy into and implement clean technologies. Of course, that will create opportunities for impact technology startups and the investors that support them.
Thank you so much for sharing with us your insights. As you just mentioned, the role of the government, it's actually the government worldwide has designed and developed a lot of different financial stimulus packages to support economies during the pandemic. So when we look particularly at the tourism industry, do you see any opportunities that the COVID-19 crisis can bring to foster impact investment strategies. Especially, like the Asia Pacific region is well known to be the leader in both tourism industry and also green technology investment as well.
Yeah. The response of governments to COVID-19, the recovery packages and incentives that they're making available obviously varies quite a bit from country to country, so it's tough to generalize. But look, examining the tourism industry, everyone knows that demand for tourism, that tourist volumes will come back. Just because we suffered through probably the greatest shock ever to the tourism industry, or certainly the greatest shock in recent decades this year, doesn't mean that we aren't going to return to tourism being a substantial share of the economies of countries in our region going forward. Not every company in the tourism value chain is going to be able to survive this shock, but there's a strong incentive for companies with the means to try and ride it out. And while they're riding out the crisis, this is an ideal time to make CapEx investments that are going to pay off over the long term with energy savings, with more effective waste management, and with other operational savings. So I think what you're seeing, particularly for companies that have fixed infrastructure, like buildings or fleets of vehicles, there is a desire right now, or there will be shortly a desire as some of these government bailout programs start to take hold, to invest in improving that infrastructure so that they can realize the operational savings once demand returns. That creates an immediate opportunity for impact technology companies to be a part of those infrastructure or those CapEx investments, and it's also I think an indication that maybe while the tourism sector will suffer during this crisis, the clean technologies and other technologies that can be integrated into the tourism value chain, this may actually be a time of opportunity.
Thank you so much, Jason. So in order to optimize the opportunities, it comes to the next question of how can impact investing and clean technology contribute to the recreation of tourism industry in a more sustainable way?
Gosh, there are so many opportunities to make the tourism industry more sustainable through technology. You've just asked a very broad question, to be honest with you. The challenge, of course, in tourism is that it's a very fragmented industry. You see relatively few large players and a lot of small players. That said, in hospitality, you have buildings. Whenever there are buildings, there's an opportunity to improve energy efficiency. Improving energy efficiency has a massive impact on climate impact. So that's one area, and of course that's the focus of the Travel Lab Asia that ADB Ventures and PATA have been collaborating on over the past year. So that's one area. Mobility is another area. Everybody knows that vehicles have a climate impact. Anytime that you can use vehicles more efficiently, that's going to make a big difference. So technologies, sharing economy technologies that encourage more people to use fewer vehicles, there's obviously an impact there. Intelligent routing technologies that help with liveries, that help tour companies plan their routes more effectively, save energy, save cost, and have a climate impact. Financial technologies, fintech, that, enable companies to make capital investments, that enable them to make payments more effectively. Tourism is an interesting industry because more than almost any other industry that's affected by the global economy, it has an impact at the most vulnerable levels of society. If you think about it, the places that tourists want to go are often the places that are least touched by economic development, and where some of the, at least financially speaking, the poorest of the poor live. These are people who oftentimes don't have bank accounts and access to basic financial services. So there's a role for fintech to play in helping distribute the benefits of tourism more equitably and expediting payments to people all along the value chain. Airports, more efficient airports, aviation, airplanes that travel farther with fewer greenhouse gas emissions, airplane meals that generate less waste, less food waste in hotels and on airplanes. These are all areas that are just ripe with opportunity for technology to make a difference and for impact investors to participate in making that difference.
Thank you so much, Jason. So we know that in the tourism industry, there may be some maybe small tour operators or small scale hotels who may not really have the resources, to have access to technology or to have financial capability to actually apply different kind of technology. So I just want to ask about your opinion, how we can bridge that gap between big and small players in terms of the access to technology and how they can actually keep up with the trend of impact investing and clean technology.
Yeah, no, this is actually sort of a common question in the realm of impact investing. I think that you're seeing more and more solutions as a service. And the reason for that is that small companies, small customers in emerging markets can't always afford to make capital investments in the millions of dollars or even in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So solutions as a service allow them to access technologies for a monthly payment that they otherwise wouldn't be able to afford and pay for those solutions out of operations. We're seeing more and more of that in really across the board, particularly with building management and energy management systems, even infrastructure for renewable energy, certainly solutions for waste management. And there are some really interesting financial models that underpin those solutions where startups are able to work with banks and with insurance companies in order to enable that. So there's actually a rich area of innovation that is creating a lot of opportunities for those small players in the tourism value chain to invest in sustainable and cost-saving technologies that they might not have been able to access in an early